Okay, good afternoon, all. Good afternoon. I'm James Bryant, Program Coordinator with the Greater Baltimore Urban League, and welcome to our Thursday speaker series. We have in the building Jay Salters, and is that Jerome Jones?
Jerron Jones.
Jerron
Yes, sir.
Jones, who are going to be sharing information as it relates to cybersecurity networking. Without any hesitation, the floor is now yours, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
And so those who are not familiar, Jerron, he owns a company, right? Mr. Jones owns a company, Just One Solutions. He's done everything that associated with cybersecurity out there, and he's helped people learn the credentials, skill sets, and be able to do the same themselves. He owns his own training company, which he provides certifications for. And so his path was unique in his own way. Like I said, he wasn't military affiliated. He learned everything on his own. He had mentors, and he got to the point to where he's at now. His original degree was in mechanical engineering, which has nothing to do with cybersecurity. And then he switched into cybersecurity, and pretty much he's been there ever since. So thank you for joining me on this today. We just really want to talk about your path. What do you think others should essentially do in order to get into cybersecurity? And based off of your experience, when it comes to certifications and job opportunities, what does that look like for someone that's trying to get their feet wet, or someone that's trying to get the skill sets? Because you did it from the ground up, right? And you were able to kind of get yourself deeply involved into cybersecurity, where you went from doing training to doing pen testing to providing consulting for banks. You, like I said, you've done it all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, and I appreciate the platform, and I appreciate you, Jay, and your company and everything that's doing for military veterans and his family. You know, that's a passion of mine also, since my father's a veteran of the Vietnam War. But yeah, I started as an engineer, worked at CDW for about 1.5 years, and I had a great mentor who basically gave me a part-time job doing server backups and updates and different things of that nature. And it kind of helped me get my chops and my love for cyber. After 1.5 years, I left corporate America and started to work directly for him, doing basic vulnerability assessments, and eventually became a instructor in 2006, doing basic computing and starting to teach A+, Net Plus, and Security Plus. Security Plus is kind of like my baby, my child. I've taught probably hundreds and hundreds of classes of Sec Plus, and I always lead back to that because it's the base of 8570, which is the basis of most DoD contracts for you to get in. Within those years, from 2006 to 2011, I taught in 43 states and 9 countries, everything from basic computing up to reverse engineering and malware. And also I was able to do some class and unclassed jobs for the government, everything from vulnerability assessments, pen testing, routing and switching, different things of that nature. With a love for travel and just a love of learning, it was a great experience for me. In 2011, I started Just One Solutions with some friends from the military. I was able to start doing some Linux classes for a couple different units, which rolled over to a nice contract for training. We unfortunately lost half of it because of government budget cuts. However, we kept the company up and rolling, and I started to consult in SOC, so Security Operations Centers. And from there, I started as an analyst engineer, but with my background in vulnerability assessments and pen testing, I quickly moved up to being a platform lead, and started to do consulting for big companies like RSA, Amex, Caesars Entertainment, etc. One of my biggest, I guess you would say, jobs or claim to fame would be being a security engineer for Caesars Entertainment during Black Hat and DEF CON, which is one of the biggest hacking conferences in the world. And we were loading up servers and correlation rules, and it was just a great time to be at Caesars, and I learned a lot there. Since then, I have grown Just One Solutions. Core competencies has grown from training to cloud and security operations. I started a nonprofit called Just One Tech Academy, where with your knowledge and mentorship helped me become a part of Skill Bridge, where we help military veterans and their families. Also, we became a registered practitioner for CMMC to also teach military veterans and their families. And we also became a partner with Amazon Restart. And that's, the nonprofit is a big love of mine because we have different programs, like Cyber for Seniors, Cyber for Tots. We partner with EC Council to do Code Red, which is like a Netflix for IT. And now we have a retake program for those who are coming back into society. And we are right now bidding on some contracts and have won a contract in the DC area for retake and reentry. So that's a little bit about myself and the two organizations that I run. And yeah, I appreciate your mentorship and partnership, and especially the Urban League, because we worked with them earlier and doing some great things. So I definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. And like I said, see that just, you have a plethora of experience and background. And I want to tap into one thing. So we talked about the training. Let's talk about this percentage, right? Your pass rate.
Yeah.
Right. Over 95%. And that's not something that's common. How do you get people who don't have a cybersecurity background to understand the material and do so well at the test and help them prepare for their future?
I think, my first job, just to go back, was actually teaching on the south side of Chicago, where I'm from. And it was a contract teaching those who are in the job market, workforce development. Some people had never actual laptop or computers. And I think the biggest thing is to relate down to what they have. When we are teaching children, we teach them with a phone. A phone has what? It has an operating system. It has a network. It has security features, right? And that's how we break down operating systems, networking, security plus, et cetera. We break it down to the most minuscule level of things that you have every day you can understand. They make IT and cybersecurity to this big puzzle or monster, but you can really break it down to the most minuscule levels of security. Is, you have a house and a door, right? Your door is your door to your network. How do you secure it? How do you secure your windows? How do you secure your locks? Every patch or upgrade is a upgrade to your locks or upgrade to your window, to make sure that things that you don't want to get in are staying out. So I think it's, going down to a person's environment, not just relating to what they work with and have every day, I think is the best way, especially with beginning IT, to get them to the level of understanding, but then get them to a point where they have a passion or craving to get to the next level and learn more.
Yeah, and that's unique. So you've applied that approach for your Cyber for Tots, and then also for this the Cyber for was it Cyber for Elders?
Seniors. Yeah.
Cyber for seniors. Seniors. And so how have you seen those programs? Like I said, cyber is everywhere, and a lot of people think they do treat it as this big monstrosity that, I don't have the skill sets to kind of break in, or I don't know how to break in. But you just broke that down, like how you can kind of get into the opportunities and understanding. But what those two programs, how do you see that being the direction for the growth of cyber and helping people understand from that perspective in your company's perspective?
I think, especially for Cyber for Tots, they have the different things like coding for kids, Minecraft. The earlier we get to them, the more prepared they are when they become an adult. Everything is becoming cyber, AI, et cetera.
You're on mute. It went to mute.
Early math, early science. Like we have science fairs, we need to have cyber fairs, right? It's becoming to a point where I believe it should become another subject that's on a report card. So we try to introduce it as early as possible. And one of the easiest ways is the phone, or kids with tablets, because a tablet, a phone has the basics of cyber. You have an operating system, it's networked to a router, and it has security features. And you can teach a kid, and a lot of the kids know how to turn on and off security features, right? So it's interesting that the basics of cyber, you know, without them even knowing, they already are there. And once you have a person that can kind of break it down to that level, it becomes, you know, fun to them. And I think, you know, with like the passing rates and different things of that nature, with certifications and different things, we always try to relate it to something um, where they can get it, like phonetics, like even saying your ABCs. We break down, like, let's say a VLAN segment switch, right? And we get them to remember VLAN segment switch. So if I have a switch and I need to segment my network, I'm using a VLAN, right? So you're using those same types of phonics games or puzzles for them to remember different things within cyber. And it works for tots, it works for seniors, it works for our young adults that are trying to get into the cyber workforce.
Mm. And and as far as like your experience breaking into cyber, how does one determine their path? Because I hear it a lot, you know, people want to get into cyber, but they don't necessarily know what to do or what they should do. What would you recommend on the way forward for that?
I think the interesting thing about cyber, you know, it's 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 its own kind of, I guess you would say, big conglomerate itself, right? You have networking, you have security, you have compliance. So, you know, usually like we do a lot of consulting with kids, especially going into college or coming out of college, because they say, oh, I want to be in cyber. And I'm like, okay, what part? And I was like, okay, tell me about your personality. What do you like to do? You know, me, I'm an introvert, extrovert, right? So I like to get out and party, but at the end of the day, I like to be kind of secluded sometimes. And I think that's why the SOC was kind of the best place for me. Even though I work great with teams, I like security. I like puzzles. I like kind of being secluded and kind of being able to innovate, right? Um, they're finding that a lot of cyber jobs and SOC jobs, they're doing a lot of research on those with that might have anxiety and different things of that nature. That is a great job because a person can make a good wage, but then can be kind of separated where they can be in a comfortable space. So the first thing you try to get a person's personality. Um, and security is great because you're able to innovate and learn on your own, but also learn with a team. And you have a sense of accomplishment when you're securing a network or you're building a new correlation to be able to secure a network or to be able to find some type of malicious actor that might be coming against you or your organization's network. Another great thing is some of the things I've done before my career is kind of like the capture the flags and some of the competitions, right? And that's great for team building. We're introducing that now to some of the high schools where everybody's not going to be an athlete. So some of the team building might be within IT or networking where they're on capture the flag teams where they can take their individual skill set. You got a guy that's good at scanning, you got a guy that's good at coding, you got a guy that's good at networking, and you got a guy that's good at security. And it teaches comradeship, it teaches fellowship, and then you learn new skills and able to put your skills towards that team.
Mm. Yeah, I think that would be perfect. I know the Urban League has a Saturday Scholar program, and I think that might be something that's definitely would be beneficial for teams because you're going to see it, you don't have to deal with it. And cyber is only going it's more prevalent as we grow. There's I think 2.5 million jobs available, and those jobs do not necessarily have the people ready to fill those positions, and the high demand is just going to continue to grow. And so, yeah, that's why like cyber is definitely a good location, a good route to take. As far as certifications, what do you think are some certifications people should kind of consider if they're trying to jump into the field?
So I have a program, the four pillars of strategic IT education, and that's for those that are usually transitioning, whether it's out of the military or out of college. And I try to do kind of like the four basic pillars, which is kind of networking, a networking certification, maybe like a Network Plus or a Cisco cert, and then a operating system, Windows or Linux, and then security, like a Security Plus or something of that nature, and then a specialization. And right now, a lot of our specializations used to be like ethical hacking, forensics, but now we're pushing a lot of cloud certifications.
in the cloud?
Some are vendor agnostic, right? Like a Cloud Plus, but we are pushing like a AWS or GCP, GCP Google Cloud platform, or even Azure, which is Microsoft. So because we now have to understand that we're in a more remote cloud environment, especially with our bigger network. So it's always good to have those types of certifications and backgrounds.
And then that essentially does align to different opportunities, whether in the government or in private sector, that can definitely help out. And those 4 certifications give people some understanding of cybersecurity in a whole. Most people I usually hear say, I'm going to take the Security Plus, and
Right.
those Security Plus is a good gateway. It's just one cert, you might need additional understanding, having that operating system, having that specialty. And cloud computing is growing, right? We have cloud computer architecture, you have Azure, Microsoft, you have Google with the GCP, you have Oracle with their programs, IBM, and obviously Amazon. And so those 5 companies are all in demand for more cloud architects, more cloud engineers, and more cloud opportunities. And some of these programs don't even really require you to have a degree in those fields, right? They're just get the cert, it's too new, you need to learn it, right? And then being able to deal with their architecture, their system database, their system structure. We've actually had some people on some of these previous sessions. They applied to free programs that Google were offering to get Google Cloud Architect. And the starting salary for that is, the starting salary is like 140, from 140 to 160. And so just for one cert, what would you recommend if someone's just trying to figure out how to get the process started and then look for opportunities into job opportunities? I know you said you had a mentor that helped you. Was that pivotal in your success? And
it definitely was in the beginning, because I was able to see somebody just like me who was on a higher level. Now I reach out to a lot of different universities. I've done a couple tech fest at a couple different HBCUs. We're working with Washington University on their computer science curriculum. So especially with young kids, it's, everything is at their fingertips.
yes.
Even, following different guys on Instagram, you can find out about, just like you said, Google free classes, AWS free classes, organizations like yours, Act Now Free Education. You can Google free cyber classes and pull up different companies, right? And once you get into those classes, especially if they're free, you start to figure out what your passion is, right? And I think that's the great thing about now, like the age of information, where you can get out there and you get a lot of stuff for free. Even a lot of the Google training is on YouTube, the AWS training is on YouTube. So you can start to see, like, is this something that I believe I can excel at, or I'm even interested in, right? It's a lot of stuff out there like Coursera, Udemy, that has free classes. I did a stint like 2 years at Western Governors to help build their cloud environment as a professor. And the one thing that, kind of, I didn't, wasn't the best as a professor, that I didn't feel was right, was a lot of the times people to get the proper research before they jumped into some of the different classes and started to spend their money. A lot of times I wish the students either were able to get almost like a free trial, right?
Yeah.
Like, let me get you a free trial cloud class before you pay for a cloud class, or register to try to get a degree with cloud, different cloud classes, to make sure that you understand and this is your passion. So, I tell students to look for companies like yours, look for free classes on Google, look for the content creators. There's thousands of them now, and it's a blessing to see people like just putting out this information. This is where you can get free classes for cloud, coding, Python, Perl, etc. That helps people build their careers.
No, absolutely. And I think that's the reason I say I tell people do not pay for anything, because most likely there's some type of opportunity out there where you can either learn coding, you can learn programming, you can get that for free, and you just need to be able to just find the research and then figure out whether it's for you. I know for me, my background was, C+ and Java. And then I did a bit of Python, and I was thinking I wanted to go into a career just learning how to do Python and working with Python. And when I did Python, I was like, oh, there's too many variables. You could do everything. It's just, I need a little bit more structure. I prefer Java. I prefer
Right.
C. And had I spent money on that, that would have been a big opportunity cost for me as far as like going down the road and saying, okay, this is the direction I think I'm going to go. And I realized that's not necessarily the type of coding I enjoy. So I know we have a few people on the call, and I'll definitely give them the opportunity to ask you questions in pertaining to their career and things that they should probably be doing. But where can people find you, your information? That way they can touch base with you, or if they want to schedule taking a test or things of that nature.
Okay. Our website is just www.josolutionsllc.com. So that's JOSOLUTIONSLLC.com. And our nonprofit is jostech.org. So it's www.jostech.org. And you can look up both of those organizations. We're on IG, and we're building up some different things in LinkedIn and Facebook also. And we'll probably hopefully get that out to your network also to share that. And then my email, if you need anything from me, is just my name, J Jones @josolutionsllc.com. Or you can send an email to info@josolutionsllc.com and get in touch with me. And I'll reach out as soon as possible. And we have a great team, and we're trying to do some great things, not only in the DMV area, but also we are located in Illinois and Minnesota also.
Yeah, absolutely. What was one other question? What was the biggest class you had? How many students did you go through a boot camp at a time?
The biggest class was, I want to say 250. I was in a VTC, so I had 30 students in front of me, and then I had 4 VTC locations. I want to say Massachusetts, New Mexico. So yeah, one company had 250 students, Security Plus. So I'm teaching, I'm answering questions on instant messages, I'm answering questions on email, all at once. And again, I had over a 95% pass rate. So, unfortunately, I was a contractor for somebody else at that time, but it was a blessing to be in that position. But 250 people at one time.
That's crazy.
Was my biggest class.
That's crazy. That's true. Carnell and Taylor, do you guys have any questions for Mr. Jones?
Nope, I'm good. Great information though.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, same here. I'm good. I thoroughly enjoyed the information. I took a lot of notes. Thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Well, thank you for putting that up on the chat also.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. He posted his contact information in there. So yeah, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Yeah, like I said, this cyber is not. It's not this big ambiguous thing, right? There's different steps to it. There's different process to it. I know some people, even in the financial spectrum, cyber is something that people are just trying to learn how to be able to do. And there's opportunities in there. There's mostly opportunities in most fields, right? And so you just got to really be able to apply yourself, figure out what your path is, make sure you have a good understanding of fundamentals, do some things, try some things, right? Don't necessarily just jump off the diving board and be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do, pen testing, and then realize once you get to the point that you're doing pen testing, like, I don't like pen testing. But definitely just try to learn as much as you possibly can so you can figure out which direction you want to go. Reach out to mentors, touch base with folks that are doing the job so you can get a better understanding of what's out there. And then, like I said, the opportunities are endless in cybersecurity, and the demands are growing as things grow, as opportunities continue to expand, new job markets. Cloud wasn't a thing, even though it was, but it wasn't a thing for everyone a few years back. And now it's just the most prevalent thing that we have, right? And everyone's talking about cloud computing and going to a cloud network. If you have an iPhone, your pictures are on the cloud, right? And so all those things, as technology develops, they need to be secured. And so learning as much as you possibly can help out. I want to thank Mr. Jones for coming through again. I really appreciate it. Definitely reach out to him if you connect with him on LinkedIn, connect with his company. If you're looking to pass a certification, definitely reach out to him.
We do have the testing facility. We still do have the peer review testing facility, and we have the remote site also. If you have organizational needs where you need to bring a proctor in and to do classes in-house, so we can do that for college, military bases, companies, etc. We'd love to do that also. So just let us know. Please reach out for any of your needs.
And
Absolutely.
actually, I have a question for both
Okay.
Jay and Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir.
What's your take on these three positions I came across? Vulnerability scanner operator,
Okay.
security analyst,
Okay.
and a compliance analyst.
Yes, sir. Jay, you want me to take it first?
So what was the first role? The compliance analyst, I heard was the last one. And what was the first one?
Yeah, the first one
Vulnerability.
was vulnerability scanner operator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are you interested in taking those roles or?
Yeah, I actually came across that information and
Yeah.
kind of piqued my curiosity. So,
Mhm.
knowing that you've been doing the cybersecurity networking webinars, I'm like, all right, well, let me reach out to Jay and see what his take is on. And of course, since
Yeah.
Mr. Jones is on, it's a plus. So perfect
Absolutely.
opportunity to ask. Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk to the first one, and I'll let
Okay.
Mr. Jones talk to the vulnerability. The last one, compliance. So
Yep.
the compliance is, and I deal with it in the military. There is compliance anywhere, like especially with the CNMC coming down. That's a whole compliance. Like you getting audited, understanding, making sure that the company is doing exactly what they need to do as far as following the standards for the DoD, for the government, and also to include making sure that if there's like a prime contractor, subcontractors doing the same, compliance is one of those things where you just understand risks associated with that and being able to manage that with an organization. And that's more so providing you kind of like it's just not on the checklist, but just making sure that everything is meeting the mark, right? And so if you're interested in compliance, that compliance in the financial spectrum compared to compliance working for a company that's doing like government contracting is completely different, and it's a very vast field. I would say it would depend on, for you particularly, it would depend on what is the type of role that you want to fit in compliance, right? Because it could apply to any type of job. If you're a compliance specialist, that's something that's needed regardless of where you go. And the stuff that I do in the military is essentially that, right? We make sure that we meet all the compliance, or we make sure that we follow all the standards that the DoD provides us. And we make sure that as far as our equipment, our systems, and our operations, I'm trying to talk around what I do, but we make sure that our stuff that we do is meets what for national security meets what we need to meet it, what needs to be met. And so if I had to choose out of the three, like I said, I don't have a background in vulnerability, Jerron does, but compliance is something that you can land on any job opportunity, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does. And look, Jane, I was in the military too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know.
I understand. Yeah. I understand.
All right.
Go ahead,
So,
Mr. Jones. I know you wanted to share some information too.
yes, sir. So the vulnerability scanner operator. So 9 times out of 10, they have a certain vulnerability scanning tool. It could be anything such as maybe a Cisco tool, Snort, Rapid7 tool that's actually scanning for vulnerabilities within your network. So they're going to want you to be able to implement that tool, optimize that tool, make sure that it's patched, it's bringing in the right variables, logs, and then tune it, right? Tune it to the environment to make sure that you're not getting false positives. So it's interesting because first you have to understand that the tools that they have. So you might be good at, let's say, a tool from Cisco, but they might be using a tool from Rapid7. So a lot of times those things are not agnostic. It's going to be down to the tool. And they're going to ask you, are you proficient in that particular tool? The good thing is you can kind of, sharpen your tool belt, and be able to do proof of concepts against those different tools so you can know the pros and cons of them. And you can be able to explain them to whatever network of organization that you're working with or you're interviewing with. The security analyst is usually kind of the basic job of a security organization. It's kind of the beginning gate, the doorkeeper. Usually security analysts are gonna take in basic rules, build basic security processes around whether it's a security operations center or it's either the security of a network. So they're the first line of this defense. And usually you have analyst 1, then you get more skills, analyst 2, 3, and then you get up to more engineering where you're doing more innovation of security. The security analyst is a great job to start, especially when you're fresh out of school. You might have just got your Sec Plus, you know, the basics of security, and you're getting your feet wet. And a lot of times it's gonna, again, be organizational, depending on what framework they're under. Again, like what Jay said, what compliance they're under is gonna determine what you do. But all 3 are great jobs. The compliance analyst, me personally, I'm proficient with CMMC and now Zero Trust and SOC 1 and SOC 2, but I like to get my hands dirty. So I'm more into the vulnerability scanning, pen testing, ethical hacking, forensics, where you can really get down into the weeds. The compliance is basically everything around that. So all 3 are great jobs within security, but it's just a ways to see where, you know, it's a big fruit bowl. It's a big salad of stuff that you can kind of digest within cyber and IT.
And a good layout is 8570 kind of talks
Yes,
about, you know, some of those requirements within the different fields. I know at least for the vulnerability, like the only system I've used, and he was right, like there's a lot. I use Nmap, and that was the only one, but there's other systems. So necessarily you can say that you talk to it, like if you're trying to get a job, like I have a familiarity with Nmap, but necessarily I can learn, like I know the skill sets for that. So I might be able to apply that to something else, but I have to specifically learn whatever suite that they have, so I can be able to do that job. And so they might ask you if you ever use like Be Secure or one of the other like Burbside or something like that, or things like Nessus or Nexus. Is Nessus?
Nessus.
Yeah, Nessus. Yeah. So there are a lot of different opportunities out there, but you can dabble into that now, right? Add that to your resume, add that to your LinkedIn profile, just to show that you're touching base with those, and that can possibly lead into opportunity. So if someone's talking to you about, okay, we have these programs available, which role would you be interested in? Or based off of your background, we think you're a good fit for this. That just leads to a conversation that you can have that can help you get employed within that community or within that field.
Okay. Thanks for the information, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Like for me, like I said, I originally was going with the AI automation because I wanted to do either that or the data science aspect. And then I took a hard curve on when I started touching cloud computing. I was like, yeah, that is definitely the way I need to go. And the cloud computing, if you look at the growth to market, in comparison, I'm trying to compare it to like a data analyst job or a scientist, maybe on the BLM is, I think was like 9 or 12%, but for cloud computing was like 400 and something percent.
Yep.
Right. And so those jobs are just going to be in high demand. And they're going to just need a lot of people to do them. So cloud computing, I like it. It's simple. It's not too crazy. You can definitely understand the formats, just as long as you understand that actual architecture related to whatever, because Microsoft has different things that they call for their servers and their networks. And, you know, GCP has different networks, and I mean, not networks, but their serverless or whatever system or architecture they have. So just something to be familiar with.
Yeah. And once you learn one, the other ones are going to become more easy to adapt to, right? They're going to have most of the same aspects, right? It's storage, data privacy, data retention, vulnerability assessments, threat assessments, etc. So once you learn one, it's going to be easier, not easy, but easier to pivot and learn the other vendors. So again, get your feet wet, jump in the water.
And I've actually had people who've done like they've done Microsoft and got picked up for Amazon, or they've done Amazon and got picked up for another company. So definitely a great opportunity there to get, like I said, touch base and get your feet wet. Did anyone have any save rounds or any other questions for Mr. Jones? Like I said, he is a wealth of knowledge If you have a question, please
Ops
ask
to
him that.
obtain security clearance. It heard increased value. Okay, security clearance. I'm gonna leave that more up to Jay. But it took me. I'm not. It even took me a while, even after doing a lot of projects. I was given interims and different things of that nature on the security clearance aspect. But I'm gonna give that to Jay because I know he knows more about that, the different agencies and clearances.
So there are actual job positions or job posting that say they're associated with security clearances and getting you a security clearance. You can find that on USA Jobs. You can find that on Clearance Jobs. And you want to look for like specific wording. I forgot the actual wording, but I'm gonna see if it comes up because it'll let you know that the security clearance investigation is required with it. And so if you get the job and opportunity, that they'll actually pay for your clearance information. If you want, while we have this, if you want, definitely send me an email. I'll put my email in there, but send me an email and I'll send you the different sites and the exact verbiage. So I can pull that up and get that to you. But there are multiple different programs out there. If you don't have a security clearance currently, I mean, the military is an option, but obviously like that's not the only option. The federal spectrum is also other options, right? And so one of the programs I highly recommend is called Cybercorps. It's essentially you get, if you don't have a degree or if you are working on your bachelor's degree or trying to get your master's degree done, this program, what it does is it's a federally funded program that pays for your schooling in a STEM related field. So cyber, and then when you complete your degree or as you start your degree, they'll actually get you a clearance to work for a federal company, a federal organization. And it's a scholarship for service. So you're essentially applying for this school and then they'll get you a security clearance and then you choose the organization that you want to work for. I've known people who've gone into NSA with that. I've known people who've gone into the FBI with that. And the program is 100% free. You don't pay anything. And that's just one program. Another program, like I would say, if you go to USA Jobs, there's a lot of different opportunities there because they're trying to get more support. And there's different federal entities that require clearances that are not like the big four that definitely need some support. So if you want to work for any other organization and get clearances, there's definitely ways to go about it. There's multiple contracts out there, depending on what you have, your background. I had a good associate of mine. He worked for the New York Metro MTA subway station. And what ended up happening was he was interested in getting into working for a federal company. I mean, I keep on saying federal company, federal organization. And what he did was he knocked out his CCNA, right? And so he knocked out that certification, saw an opportunity with AT&T. AT&T had an expedited contract open to get him his clearance. They got him his clearance in a month and he was working the next month. And so there are opportunities out there. You just have to be able to look for those jobs and apply for them. And then make sure you meet the criteria or the credentials that they require. So having cyber certifications and having some background, or at least having the certifications, does open up your aperture for opportunities. You just got to make sure you're looking at what that looks like in the federal spectrum. Was that help? Okay, awesome. But I'll definitely, I'll put my contact information in here. So just send me a message and I will send you the links and the verbiage, specific verbiage to look for.
And Mr. Jones, if you can share your LinkedIn
Yes, sir.
profile as well.
Actually,
Again,
I'll share my LinkedIn. Actually, it'll be better to contact me on LinkedIn.
I'm better on email. I'm gonna send that to.
All right, there we go.
okay, that's
Awesome. Well, like I said, I appreciate it. Me and him got a lot of work to do. Like he's
Yes,
just a wealth of knowledge and somebody I definitely rely on to when it comes to understanding, because he has like I said, he's done a lot of things on the government side and on the private sector side. And he's trained big list of folks, including myself. I got my Security Plus through him. And so I was able to learn about getting certifications, knocking out certifications, and learning about what's important within cybersecurity. Even though I work in the cybersecurity field, sometimes it's not easy if you don't really have somebody who can break it down to you and it's beneficial, right? And so that's why I'm saying, like, this field is wide open. Definitely take advantage of it. I appreciate you for jumping on here and being able to talk and explain your story and tell everyone about, you know, the opportunities within cybersecurity and how to get started. We got his contact information down there, so please feel free to reach out. I'll leave you with any closing remarks. Give me some word of wisdom. What's a good quote or something that you want to close off with?
I'll tell everybody, as I always do, please reach out. You never know what doors somebody else can open. For example, me and Jay were just introduced by a friend, and we've been able to do different things for the last 4 to 5 years, even through the pandemic. We've helped a lot of people, and we just want to see cyber grow and the community grow. And, you know, people just to realize their dreams and accomplish different things in life. So, you know, 1 foot forward, you know, divine progression. And I'll leave you guys with that.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. James, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still on.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I just seen we had Ariana. Did you have a question, Ariana? Okay, I don't think so. All right,
Okay.
awesome. Thank you again. And yeah, so this is the last session. Thank you all for attending. Hopefully everyone's learned a lot. If you need to rewatch anything, definitely go back to the videos. They will be posted on the Urban League's website, Greater Baltimore Urban League's website. And like I said, please feel free to reach out. Thank you all for being great host, the Urban League, to be able to provide this opportunity. I love talking about, you know, opportunities with the community. However we can help, that's what we're here for. So thank you all, and hopefully everyone has a great weekend.
All right, have a great day.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jay. Appreciate it, Mr. Jones. Everyone have a fabulous day. And once again, use the information that's provided and the contacts as well. Once again, everyone have a phenomenal day.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right now.